Hi, welcome to the video. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy, and comment your thoughts and opinions on the stories. Let's get started. Am I the antagonist for telling my wife to find a new office? My 35 male wife, 32F, works from home because her job is demanding and she works across several time zones. She generally works from 4 AM to 4 PM and some on the weekends. Technically she is working for 3 different companies all in the same industry, but she earns quite a lot doing it, so it's not all that bad. I work from 6 AM to 2 PM during my week. We do not have the same days off. She works a normal week, while I have Monday and Tuesday as my weekend. We both do chores on the weekend. She usually spends hers cleaning the inside, while I will do chores on the outside of the house, cleaning the gutters, mowing the lawn, etc. Close bracket. Sometimes things would be a lot easier if I had some help. The outside chores are a lot more labor intensive, so I will ask her for help on my weekends. She doesn't like it when I do this, which, it's not like I'm asking a lot. It will literally take 2 seconds for her to come help me, but either way, I know it does bother her, but her schedule is flexible, while mine isn't. Today I was working on my motorcycle in the shop and I needed help lifting it onto a stand so I could work on it. Technically I could have done it by myself, but it would have been a lot safer if she came to help me. I text her from the shop to come help me, but she didn't answer. So I walk inside and call to her from downstairs to come help me when she screamed I am in a meeting and I heard her slam her office door. After about an hour I went upstairs to confront her. I said I was sorry I interrupted her meeting, but her reaction was uncalled for and honestly weird and suspicious that she would slam her office door. That wasn't necessary. She told me she was tired of always being bothered while she was trying to work, which I would understand if her schedule wasn't as flexible as it is, and if her projects weren't computer based. She can do them whenever she wants. I told her I didn't think I was asking too much for her to help me with some chores, and she said if I were in an office, then you wouldn't have me around to help anyway. So I told her if she wanted to work like she was in an office, then she needed to go find an office. Otherwise she would have to deal with me being home. It's my house too, and I'm not going to walk on eggshells on my days off. Today, I woke up to the sound of her car leaving the driveway. I called and asked her where she was going, and she just said the office and hung up. She ended up working all day in a coffee shop. I think that's completely ridiculous, and she is overreacting. But am I the antagonist here? Now for the top comments. Massive, you're the a-hole. Your actions are dismissive and disrespectful as hell. I feel so bad for her having to deal with this. You don't respect her job. You don't respect her time. And you don't respect basic boundaries. Apologize and be better. I just don't see that level of awareness from Opus. AITA yelling up to someone who you know could be in a meeting is an asshole move. She's working. You know she is. So why aren't you being considerate? AITA, you really couldn't wait those 2 hours until 4 PM. It was such a huge emergency to do what you were doing. And you could only do that thing and nothing else while waiting until she logged out of work. I bet you don't mind using her salary for household expenses, do you? If she's just home, why not let her keep all of her salary and just use yours, since you work a real job? So I told her if she wanted to work like she was in an office, then she needed to go find an office. Otherwise she would have to deal with me being home. Okay, she did it. What is the problem? She did exactly what you told her to do. Why are you still complaining? So I told her if she wanted to work like she was in an office, then she needed to go find an office. Otherwise she would have to deal with me being home and capable of the small amount self-control required to avoid interrupting her while she's trying to work. // fixed it for Opus. Am I the antagonist for my response to my BL complaining about how I stole his job? I, F32, am a mechanic. I've been doing it at a younger age and learned a lot from my dad. Mind you, I was your typical tomboy back then. I'm making a living out of it now, and I'm sure that my dad, Rip Dad, couldn't been more proud. Anyways, my husband's brother, BL, is a mechanic as well. Unfortunately he lost his job 4 months ago and keeps complaining about the lack of JPB opportunities. Last night we visited him and my in-laws. He lives with them for dinner and BL kept making indirect comments when I talked about my work. He then sighed, looked at me and said that no wonder he's out of job. I looked at him for more clarification and he proceeded to say that us women made it impossible for the likes of him to find a job in his field only because we stole that from them. Specifically he said that I stole his job just by working in his field when I had a ton of other available jobs for women. I found this offensive, but I calmly smiled and said I know right, that must really grind your gears. My husband and my in-laws got the joke and started laughing. BL looked offended so much that he got up and left the table. BL pulled me aside later and said that it wasn't okay how I humiliated her son who's been struggling and that I should apologize to him before I leave, but I politely refused. I went home with my husband and he told me that while what I said was somewhat funny, he felt like I humiliated his brother and made him feel more upset about his current situation. He too thinks that an apology is in order. So what do you guys think? Was I the R? Now for the top comments. NTA no, don't apologize. He wasn't called out for saying you woman stole his job. You were cleverly lightening the situation with humor and the in-laws laughed. So clearly that would have worked. I get he is down about being unemployed, but it is hardly your fault. NTA if he's a decent reliable mechanic the only person preventing him from having a job is himself. Are there special tools that can only be operated with male genitalia? NTA at all. Guy goes on a sexist rant about how you don't belong in his field of work by virtue of your genitals, then has the audacity to be humiliated when you make a casual joke in response. It's surprising he can't get a job when he has that winning personality. Once this thread has a few responses, show your husband. Maybe he'll realize your brother-in-law is the asshole here. And the joke was harmless. She didn't insult him. She didn't yell at him. She made a mechanical pun agreeing with him. Wibta if I told my husband I don't want his daughter moving in with us. My step is 22 years old. She does not work or go to school. She sits in her room all the time at her mom's house. Any job she's ever had she got fired from for making up malicious lies to get coworkers fired because she didn't like them and then got caught. The longest she's ever held a job was about a month. She has a history of deliberately ruining people's lives for no reason. She ruined her mother's relationship with her aunt and grandma from ever talking to her again by making a bunch of nasty hate accounts about them posing as her cousin. She ruined relationships between friends she did have. She told my husband she is actively trying to ruin her favorite singer's marriage currently by posing as a long lost child of his and photoshopping a DNA test. She's been very persistent with it. She bullies people online and causes unnecessary drama everywhere she goes. She uses the excuse of having anxiety and debt to get out of doing anything. Basic room cleaning, eating, even leaving the house to go for a walk, and lies about taking medication. Her mother caught her dumping her pills down the toilet. She's not in therapy currently because she thinks it's a waste of time. Was only in it for 2 weeks. When she runs out of food, she doesn't tell her mother. Her mother offers to get her food and she pouts on the couch and doesn't want to eat. She told my husband since her mom made her mad earlier in the week she's not giving her the satisfaction of watching her eat. She gives her mother the silent treatment whenever she tries to have any conversation with her about seeking therapy or doing something with her life. She either runs upstairs and hides in her room and ignores all ashes out. She cries to my husband about how annoying her mom is, and if my husband agrees with her mom, she hangs up and ignores him. When she was a kid, she was put into therapy for bullying at school and she made up lies about things that never happened at home. Refused to take medication. She blames my husband currently for her daddy issues. She stayed with him every other week growing up, and he was active in her upbringing. Pulls guilt trips on him. She calls her mother a toxic narcissist. Her mother is the least selfish person I've ever met. Her mom kinda spoiled her, and maybe that's the problem. She always blames everybody else for her problems and takes no accountability for anything. He tried to help her come up with a game plan prior to her graduating high school and she didn't want anything to do with it. It's like she doesn't want to do anything with her life except cause trouble and play the victim card. She wants to move in with us because all her mom does is yell at her. Her mom is sick of all her excuses and constant drama. My husband feels bad for her and thinks we could help her. We have 3 young children under the age of 10. I don't want her moving in with us because I think she's going to cause nothing but problems. I don't want to deal with it. Now for the top comments. She sounds gravely mentally ill. Someone who genuinely enjoys hurting people. Photoshopping DNA results and actively and gleefully trying to break up a marriage. Plus all the other examples that you gave. I wouldn't even allow her in the house for dinner. NTA. And you may need to sharpen your mama bear claws to fiercely protect your children from even casual association with this level of train wreck. Good luck. Agreed. Borderline personality disorder popped into my head. NTA. Opus. Unless she's willing to get help, there's no way you should let her into your household. Absolutely do not let this horrible, abusive adult move in. Not the a-hole. NTA. Do not under any circumstances allow this adult woman to enter your home. She belongs in a mental health hospital. End of story. That is the only place where she will receive the treatment that she really needs. Am I the antagonist for not giving my boyfriend heads up of how strong my brother really was? My mom and I, 23F, live in the US with my stepfather while my brother, 19 male, lives in Mexico with my dad because he's attending a very good school there. He has been working with him since he was 16 as a construction worker, albeit in Mexico, and that's partly how he and my dad pays for his tuition expenses. He comes monthly, maybe 2 to 3 times, to visit my mom and me. The albahiles in Mexico usually carry 4 to 5 sacks of cement back and forth. They weigh around 20 to 50 kilos. They usually don't tend to look like big masses of muscle and most of them either have bellies or are straight out skinny. So it's easier to believe they're not strong. Now, my brother isn't skinny, but he's also not very big and not very tall compared to my boyfriend. BF is 6'1" ripped, while my brother is 5'8" and pretty normal. However, he's pretty strong because he usually carries what my dad's supposed to help him, since dad is not a young flower anymore. My BF and I have been dating for 5 months and yesterday was the first time he and my brother met. My brother mentioned my mom, how his back hurt a little, and my BF made small talk based on that. He gave him some tips. Eventually, and I don't know how, they are competing. Push-ups, squats, lifting gallons of water, until my brother noticed that my stepdad had a few sacks of cement lying there. Now, my bro cheated, because that's what he does for work. But he dared my BF to lift 4 of them in one shoulder for $100. I said nothing, because it seemed they're having fun. So my BF agreed, and since he didn't know the technique to carry them, he obviously failed. My brother lifted them like nothing. My mom said it wasn't fair, because that's what he did for work, and my BF got mad, like cocky mad, and not full raged. My brother agreed to teach him how, get them on the shoulder, only but my BF still failed. My bro rejected the money and this hurt my BF's pride for some reason. Nobody commented on it after that. Nobody mocked him or anything, and before he left he called me a traitor for not giving him head of how strong my brother really was, and for not saying anything when he dared me. I said it was his fault because he judged him on his twig appearance, but he only got into his car and left. I'm confused. Am I the antagonist? Now for the top comments. NTA. Your boyfriend judged your brother based on his appearance. That is literally prejudice. His pride is hurt, but maybe he won't make the same mistake again. It was a good life lesson. Oh, the trials and tribulations of being in relations with one who is full of both pride and prejudice. What does he mean you should have warned him? Like, were you supposed to call him and say on the off chance you want to compare dick sizes? He's much stronger than you, FYI. I guess he wanted me to comment something when my brother challenged him to lift the sacks, but I honestly don't know how that is any different to him doing the push-ups. It's pretty obvious my BF has had his fair share of years doing push-ups. Just because my brother's hard work doesn't show in his physical appearance doesn't mean anything, but my BF said it's not the same, and I wanted to ask. Am I the antagonist for telling my sister I didn't ask for us to be sisters any more than she did? Sister 24F me 26F, she's getting married and this was a fight over wedding stuff. But it's an ongoing issue. She's always had the idea that a big sister is meant to be your best friend, protector, is meant to put you first, take care of you, spoil you rotten and adore you. I was a letdown for her in that regard. I loved her of course, but I wasn't devoted to her and I never thought she was the best thing in my life. Over the years she has tried to make me be the sister she's always wanted. She'd ask me to cancel plans with friends. She'd give me lists of sister gifts I could buy her. She'd invite herself along to my plans, etc. We bickered about it a lot. When she turned 17 and I didn't wanna take her on vacation, she lost it with me and told me I sucked as a big sister and I never deserved the job. After she got engaged she asked her best friend to be her mom and 2 of her close friends to be bridesmaids. Unknown to me was the fact she wanted me to be upset she didn't ask me. She expected me to confront her and say I wanted to be mom. She brought up wedding stuff at our parents' house and mentioned her bridesmaids. When I didn't comment about it, she asked me how could I be such an asshole. She said I'm her sister and I should be her mom. That I should be hurt she didn't ask me. She wanted to know why I hadn't asked her. I told her to calm down. That it was her wedding and she could have whoever she wanted. That it wasn't my wedding or my business. That started her off on a tangent about how I'm evil. She said it was the only thing that could explain being such an awful older sister. She listed all the stuff I should have done throughout our lives as her big sister. All the duties I had toward her. And how I was nothing but a disappointment and she hated having me as a big sister. It pissed me off so much. To expect so much of me, like I'm her parent. I told her I didn't ask for us to be sisters any more than she did. And that siblings are not parents. Even when they are older. And it's not our job to cater to younger siblings' every whim. She burst into tears. She told our parents I was being mean. They said nothing. Not one damn thing. To either of us. She told me I was the biggest asshole in the world for saying something like that. Am I the antagonist? Now for the top comments. NTH's clearly starved for attention. Where did she get these sisterly duties ideas from? Yeah, I find that weird. Like if the situation was flipped and it was an older sibling thinking a younger sibling had backquote duties. It's still weird, but I guess the older sibling would have had time to build up an expectation before the younger sibling was born. In this case the younger sibling doesn't know life without her older sister. So where did she get the idea from? Where did it start? She can't have been born with that expectation. Obv the op is not the a-hole. But I'm really curious now. NTA lol. She wanted to hurt you by not choosing you to be more and it backfired spectacularly. She needs to get over her childish fantasy that sisters are best friends and that you're her guardian angel. She's tough for trying to manipulate and hurt you. Seriously. My big sister is my best friend. But she's never paid to take me on holiday. She doesn't give me random sister gifts. She doesn't cancel plans for me. She would in an emergency. As I would for her. But not just randomly. The idea of her spoiling me rotten grosses me out. And I don't invite myself along on her plans. Though we do make plans together. Like, where on earth did Op's sister even get these ideas? And how is she getting married and still holding on to them? Am I the antagonist for embarrassing my girlfriend by eating with my hand at a fancy restaurant? Edit. The chef personally brought it to me and waited until I had multiple bites. He told me it always makes his day to have a Moroccan at the restaurant. And he was over the moon when I told him that it was the most delicious couscous I ever had. He said that I was always welcome if I want to try other stuff. Rafissa. Tagine. Tenjaya. Close bracket. I feel like if it wasn't appropriate eating with my hand at the restaurant he would have told me. My girlfriend took me to a fancy restaurant for my birthday. I decided to get couscous after I saw it on the menu because I haven't ate it since I came to the US. After talking to the waiter I found out that the chef was Moroccan. He came to our table and we chatted for a bit. He made it to my liking and it was the most delicious couscous that I ever tasted in my life. Sorry mom. My girlfriend asked me to stop eating with my hand because I was getting looks from other tables. She said I was embarrassing her by making balls with food like a toddler. I told her that's way I grew up eating, and it doesn't taste the same with a fork or a spoon. And I said it's not like I've been eating it every day or decided to use my hand just to embarrass her. She replied that since it was my birthday I could do whatever I want. I finished eating the rest of the couscous with a spoon because she was visibly upset, and I also didn't want to add to her embarrassment, especially when she was doing something nice for me. We were planning on going to the beach afterwards, but when we left the restaurant she told me she didn't feel like going anymore. We went back to our place and she hadn't said a word back to me since. Now for the top comments. NTA. Lots of people saying it's our behavior is a little wild to me. It's not typical in America, but it doesn't bother anyone else. It wasn't causing a real scene. Just getting looks. People can think whatever they want. Why does it matter? The restaurant itself also didn't mind. It was literally just that his girlfriend wants to bend in fear of the opinions of strangers they'll never see again. Social norms are just that, and only that. Don't let them keep you from happiness. People are really weird about stuff. I'm Korean and ordered jjajangmyeon at a Korean restaurant and went to mix it by holding one chopstick in each hand, which is how my Korean mother and the rest of my Korean family do it. And my friend I was with really lost her shit about how in Japan that's disrespectful. 1. She wasn't Japanese. 2. I'm Korean eating Korean food in a Korean restaurant in a Korean way, and I'm somehow wrong? So yeah, not the a-hole. But people are shitty. AITA / also, in case it was not obvious, we were not in Japan. Lol. I'm gonna say not the a-hole. Normally I'd go hardcore miss manners on someone for proper utensil usage. But it's not like you grabbed a porterhouse steak with 2 hands and ate it like a sandwich. You were eating a food native to where you are from, in a manner customary to how it is supposed to be eaten. I'm all about doing things the right way, but looking down on you for this seems Eurocentric and a little racist to me. If anything, he is eating it the right way,